Yo, shaking, we shaking.
Salute, salute, salute.
Salute, salute, salute.
Your boy, man, FB, man. It's been a little minute, but I'm back at you, man. For all those that's coming to the chat, coming online, you dig? Hit that like button, man. Subscribe if you haven't, man. I got my fams here, man. I got the boy Chip Low, and I got the boy Big Dice. We're shaking,
Of
Kings.
course, we here, y'all. Another day alive, another day free. Y'all know the slogan. Why would I wake up trying to be somebody other than me? You heard?
No
Yeah.
doubt. Salute, salute,
Yeah.
salute. Been a long time coming, man. A long time coming. It's good.
This what they needed. This what they needed.
Man,
I see
we here, we
ABG in
here.
the building. GP here. Tanja here. They gonna pull up.
Salute. Yeah, facts. Big facts. Tanya, what up? Shorty, how you feeling, Queen? Yo, ABG, what's good, King? Word. Yo, we got a good one, man. We just pulling up, man. Just saluting, man. And as I always do, man, let me send my salutes to those that's not here with me, man. Those that still on the other side of the walls, man. To
Right.
God be his glory. You heard? Word, I'm happy to be here, man. Nikki baby, what um today Memorial Day, man. I hope everybody's Memorial Day is great, man.
Another day alive, bro. Ain't no complaining. There's a couple of cookouts going on later on, but it's hot down here in the south, so we ain't moving till like about 4 or 5.
Yo, I don't even really know what's going on, but it's like this crazy distortion in the mics, bro.
Do you
Hold
got two
on.
things open?
Hold up. You said what?
Do you have two things open? Like your YouTube and
Nah, I don't believe so.
uh,
I don't believe so.
All right, you know what I'm gonna do? Everybody, am I
Hold up.
echoing?
It's good. It's good now. Hold up. Nah, you ain't echoing now.
I'm good.
Yeah, you good right now. Word. Um, yeah, but yeah, man, this is what it is, man. We just, I think it's with me, man. I think my joint, I hear it in my ear, man. How I sound to y'all brothers?
It seemed like it's it seemed like you're going in and out.
Like robotic, right?
Yeah, it's like you're going. I can hear you, but it seemed like you're going in and out. It's like the signal is stronger and then it's lighter.
How about now?
I hear you. I can hear you.
You hear me good?
I can hear you crystal clear.
All right, that's where we at then. We there, you know what I mean? Yeah, let's get to it, man. Let's do it. Hey, yo, first and foremost, man, I think the boy Chip dropped off real quick, but yo, Dice, yo, I got at you, man, because the hidden truths, man. What they don't teach us in school, you dig? And I feel it's only fair, man, that what I'm saying, us being, what I'm saying, Asiatics, man, us being, you know what I mean? Deriving from those that came before us, man, to give
Right.
our salute and to give an understanding to what a lot of people may not even know, and a lot of people may not know that, what I'm saying, that Memorial Day was actually created by, what I'm saying, us as blacks. You dig what I'm saying? Black enslaved people, man, back in, what I'm saying, the 1800s, you heard? 1865 to be exact,
You put me onto that. You put me onto this. This is actual
Yeah,
fact.
you dig? And yeah, man, we all put on by somebody, man. You dig what I'm saying? Like, yo, me and Chip, we be brainstorming, so Chip sent things over, and it's like, yo, bro, we all done a lot of our share of reading and whatever the case may be.
Right.
So, it was just like me personally, man. I just wanted, let the people know, man, that, those that don't know, you dig a little bit of history for us to encourage us, to inspire us, to let us know exactly what we come from, and that's greatness. You dig, like on May 1st of 1865, formerly enslaved black people, what I'm saying, dug up mass graves that, what I'm saying, had a lot of people, black people, what I'm saying, Indians, the black people who fought for this country that we live in now, that we are still mistreated in as America, you know what I'm saying, and basically buried each individual, man, in their own plot with flowers, and later after that, man, celebrated with a parade where over 30,000 people, you know what I'm saying, used to visit and join in, you know what I mean, singing songs and, just having a merry time for the people who had passed away, you know what I'm saying, on behalf of this country, man. So I felt that, you know what I'm saying, that was, something that, we should bring to the forefront along with just naming a few of the great ones, man. Like the Buffalo Soldiers. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? The Tuskegee Airmen. You know what I
How they
mean?
experimented on them. That's a fact.
Yeah, man. And one person who I believe is underrated in history one person that I believe is underrated in the history that people didn't know the significance of was, you know what I'm saying, the brother Crispus Attucks. You know what I mean? The first African American casualty of war, man. You dig what I'm saying? Of the American Revolution. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro. So you know what I mean? Yeah, that boy took a couple in the field after a situation had arrived. You know what I mean? Had came up. You know what I mean? In the streets, when I believe it was a black young boy, you know what I'm saying, had approached somebody, a white man, about a haircut bill that wasn't paid for, and it went kind of left from there, man. You know what I mean, with Crispus Attucks getting caught up in a melee of fire. So salutes, man, to the brother Crispus Attucks, man. Salutes to the brothers of the Buffalo Soldier Regiment. Salutes to the Tuskegee Airmen. And
Oh,
yo, here go one for the books, kid. The Harlem Hellfighters. I don't know if you ever heard of
damn.
them,
See, you
bro.
taking me back. See, I'm gonna keep it funky with you, friend. You taking me back. People think I'm just saying this. That when I was younger, the ignorance that I had in my head, I never ever respected Martin Luther King. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna be straight up and be fair. The reason why I
Right.
never respected him is because we was always taught somebody put your hands on you, you put your hands back on them.
Absolutely.
But when I got older, like really, really got older and started getting knowledge of self and understanding people's perspective on things. Now, this is something crazy. And the reason why I started respecting Martin Luther King is because of a Gandhi book. When I read
Mm.
Gandhi, you understand what I'm saying to you? It was a
Right.
scene in Gandhi where they was walking to the hill against the Britain, and they was beginning to get scared, and they were saying, well, we shouldn't walk. And then Gandhi asked them, why shouldn't we walk? And they said, because if we go to that type of hill, to the top of the hill, they're going to gun us down. They're going to rifle us down.
Right.
So Gandhi replied to him, even though they kill us physically, they never killed us spiritually. That shit
Fact.
hit me different. You know what I'm
Fact.
saying? And then it started making me really pay attention to Martin Luther King because it was I think his name is Paul Winfield, an actor or whatever. He did a hell of a show back in the days on Martin Luther King. And then I started reading up on Martin Luther King. I didn't know that he was in juke joints. I didn't know that he was a pool player. I didn't know that he was a hustler. I didn't even understand how he was with the women and how Miss Coretta Scott King, shout out to her, how she held her man down through all of that because she seen the purpose in him. And when it came to his fight for our equality, even though we didn't get it the way we supposed to
Yet.
have it, we
Yet.
still yet
Yet.
we still got a lot of power that we didn't have back then. And I send that out to Martin Luther King. That's a fact.
Absolutely, man. Yo, let me tell you a hard truth, man. Here go a hard truth that was hidden by me, bro. And I had to go through my successions of lessons to be where I'm at right now. You hear, bro? Um, I had the same kind of mindset when it came to, the Mahatma Gandhis and the Martin Luther King Juniors.
Right,
You dig what I'm saying? And a few other of our great ones. Only because only because I didn't understand, an attack dog attacking, our people, or fire hoses, or police just openly being able to, what I'm saying, beat you with no reason or reasoning.
right.
And I often tell people, man, that I speak to, is like, yo, I couldn't be alive in the time. Me being who I was when I came in the 70s, birthed out of my mom's womb,
Talk.
I couldn't be a part of that era because I wouldn't have lasted long. And I know for certain, if I had the mind and the characteristics that I had coming up from the 70s until this time, until basically, I'm gonna say 17 years ago, um it ain't no question that a few of them Europeans would have been dead at my hand. You
That's
dig?
right.
Because I wouldn't have been able to go for that. You dig what I'm saying? None of it. So but to understand that, to understand the strength and the fortitude that people like, Martin Luther King and the Mahatmas had, in being able to uh 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 not only restrain themselves but take
Right.
the kind of abuse in order for the world to see it on a grander scale, for them to have that long-term vision of what the world needed to see in order to even make the increments of change that they are responsible for, was
Facts.
something that I commend them. And it helped me broaden my vision on thinking about the long term objectives as opposed to the short-term gratification of things. You heard?
That's right. That's
So
right.
yeah, man. I'm thoroughly, I'm thoroughly, man, and not only enamored, but I'm just, greatly appreciative for the not only the mindset but the spirit of men like them, men like W.E.B. Du Bois, you dig, and so many others, man, and to continue, man, before we, get into what you're gonna go into, man. I just want to say, like, what I was saying about the Harlem Hellfighters,
Yeah, give me some
who
light on
were
that.
a group of, it was called the 369th Infantry, and they served on the front lines for 191 days during World War II, or World War One, matter of fact. And that was longer than any other American unit. And when we say any other American unit, we're speaking about European units. Not even they stood on them front lines and fought side by side with one another, being, so imperative to the paradigm shift, which we as African Americans in a lot of those wars, the Revolutionary, the Civil War, so many of those wars, man, the tides turned because of us as Black people joining in and helping the same people who treated us like SHIT,
That's right.
who
That's right.
treated us less than we were, less than what we were, and that was human.
That's
You
right.
dig? So for the Dory Miller, one of the first heroes of World War II who received the Navy Cross, I salute you, King. You dig?
Salute.
For the Benjamin O. Davis Sr., the first African American general in
Uh,
1940, I salute you, King. For Benjamin O. Davis Jr., commander of the famous Tuskegee Airmen, I
talk.
salute you. Samuel L. Gravely Jr., first Black admiral in the Navy. Salute you. Hold up, ladies. Don't think there ain't nobody for y'all. Y'all got Miss Hazel Johnson Brown, the first Black female general in the U.S. Army. I salute you, Queen. And no other than Colin Powell, the first Black
Talk.
chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I salute you. Because without, I look at things, bro, and let me just share this real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go into go into your joint. Um, Back in the days, man, I was very vehement about, not respecting America, in a sense, when I used to go back and forth to 42nd Street
Mm-hmm.
and the 34th Streets, and I see our war heroes, I see them veterans with no
On the ground.
legs sleeping on the ground, begging for food, sleeping over the grates of the train station just so they can get heat coming up from the trains that was moving under them. And I wondered to myself back then, how can a people that have risked their lives for a country, you dig, and fought these wars to make America as great as it has been, not have what they need to survive when they came back to this country? And I'm talking about Black and white alike, because
That's
I've
right.
seen a lot of white, and brown people, dirty with matted hair, smelling, stinking winos, dope things, and so forth, because
That's
of
right.
the atrocities that they took part in across seas, you know, and it used to make me think, like, how the hell could basketball players and baseball players and people who run up and down a court or around bases or kick a ball through a net get these multi-million dollars, and these people that have fought wars and lost their limbs
Mm,
and came back psychologically warped,
mm,
not be in a position of millionaire status by a country that they have defended? Never made sense to me. Doesn't still make sense to me. You dig
mm.
what they have to? I got uncles, I got family of family whose
My
people
pops.
still have hard times going through the VA hospitals. You dig? So much, man. And yo, listen, man, for the ladies that are here, man, you dig, like, chime in, man. People who have lost people, man. We got a lot of our brothers and sisters in these armed forces now, man, losing their lives for a country who still isn't willing to give us our fair share of equality and equate them as humans as opposed to three-fifths of a human. You know, so I want to hear from y'all, man. You know, share this, man. You know, share this, like this, subscribe to this, man, and definitely, man, comment on this, man. Dice, go ahead, man. Do what you do.
Yo, now that you said that, I think about with my pops. I think about with my pops. My pops, when he went to Vietnam, they gave him a choice. He had an ultimatum. My father originally from Chicago. Rest in peace to Ronald Young. They told him, they said, well, check this out. You're going to jail, or you can go fight for your country. My pops left when he was 17. He went to Da Nang in 66. He was in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He got down with the Seabees. That was the unit that was right under the Navy SEAL. That was the backup for the Navy SEAL. My pops, when he came back home, he was working for the Veterans Administration in Manhattan.
Okay.
When my pops got back around our way, unfortunately, my pops caught a bid because, see, this is the part that people fail to realize about the war in Vietnam. They taught my father how to become a more dangerous killer.
Absolutely.
They taught him that. So when he came home, unfortunately, because of the way he was raised in Chicago, him and one of his friends, unfortunately, they was convicted of taking a man's life. They came home, and when my pops came home, he felt as though something Frank just said. When my pops came home, even though he had made a mistake, as they said, deemed in him, and he did his time, he felt as though that the government owed him something for so much time that he sat up for the addictions they put on him, for the horrors they put on him, because my pops couldn't even watch like the war movies. He couldn't even watch them. He couldn't even watch them, like literally. So then, like, I feel bad because when my pops started getting high, you know, like they're like, damn, Dice Pop's getting high. I'm like, yo, like, why you fucking with that shit? And then he told me some of the deepest shit. He said, because I don't want to go to sleep. He said, when we was in Vietnam, they gave us drugs to stay up continuously. Right. And I'm like, why you don't want to go to sleep? And then he used to show me his pictures, his photographs of friends. My pops had pictures next to dudes that's been blown up.
Right, right.
Like literally holding them. A kid, 19 years old, you know what I'm saying? Because he did a couple of tours. So when he came back to America, yeah, they gave him a little job and all that, but he said it wasn't enough to survive. Facts. And he felt as though that they actually manipulated him, because he said if he'd have known what he know now, he said he'd have went to jail. He'd have went to jail. He said because they programmed him that the Vietnam people, whether they were babies, whether they was women, or whether they had uniforms on, was deemed to be enemy. And that fucked them up.
Facts.
So shout out to them veterans that went through that mental anguish and came home. Like my pops, I didn't understand it. We don't understand why our parents is getting high. We look at them like they going fucking crazy, especially how we was raised. But now as being an adult,
we understand.
I think about the mental anguish that my pops went through. Like he just said he didn't want to go to sleep because certain things that he done, them you know, them nightmares is real serious, man. And that was the only
very
way
serious,
he could cope.
Bro. Very, very serious.
You know what I'm saying?
Nikki Baby says, I have an uncle that never was the same after his service to this day. Without a question, you and me both. You know what I'm saying, sis? And you know what's crazy, because like the armed forces and so forth and so on, these horrific situations that individuals went through across seas or whatever case may be, kind of link them, and they're akin to even prison. So there's so when you look at the PTS syndromes that come from the horrific type of situations and conditions that we, as said, as a people, have been thrust into, or like you say, we didn't have no ultimatum. You either go to jail or you go fight for your country. But when you say your country, you mean your country as Europeans, because this to this day is not our country in the sense of us getting the justice and the equality that you so have, being Europeans. Right. You dig? And I find that like even a more of a slap in the face, you dig? Because it's like, yo, what more could we have done, or what more could our ancestors have done in order to show you not only are we equatable to you, but we complement you in a way that you as a people, as Europeans, couldn't even, get through on your own. Like we came
Right.
to your aid, we came to your rescue, and
That's right.
the thanks we get is still being, considered, beneath your shoe, so to speak. You know, um, it's something that something that still to this day, man, it bothers me because I'm very familiar with the school to prison pipeline a situation. I'm anything that can decimate the quality of life for us as black and brown people, that is still taking place, man, is crazy, man. And I don't believe that in our lifetime we'll ever see. Could only hope. I hope that I'm able to be able to, one day while I'm still upon this side of the earth, or this side of the ground, share with my nieces and nephews, you dig what I'm saying? The fact of being treated totally equal,
That's right.
to have hopefully see that there and other, black and brown brothers and sisters like us that are younger than us coming up in this generation here are able to say, without question and without a minimal amount of truth to it, that we are truly free at last, and being able to thank God Almighty that we're free at last, as the immortal Martin Luther King Jr.
That's
said in
right.
his, renowned speech. But at this point, man, again, man, this is for, this is for the veterans that fought for this country. This is for the street veterans that, because, there's no difference in the one or the other. In a sense, we're still fighting for our lives right here in this country. You
No, let me
dig?
catch your wisdom because I was just getting ready to tell you, yo, we suffer from PTSD.
But absolutely,
That's a fact.
absolutely, absolutely.
The cultures
Yeah,
we came up
man.
with, think about this. Now think about this. We came up raised with Panamanians, Dominicans, Puerto
Mm-hmm.
Ricans,
Mm-hmm.
Jamaicans,
Right.
Haitians,
Right.
Guyanese, Trinidadian,
Right.
Russian, Jewish, Pakistani.
Man, we fought them all, huh? We
So you got
fought
to think
we
about
them to
all the
some degree.
cultures that we had to go through in our hoods. We went from
And
the
still,
Spanish running the stores to the Arabs running to the stores to the dread weed spot. We went through all that shit.
nah, absolutely, man. DMW shots, man. What's shaking, boy? How you feeling, King?
I see
You
you in
know
the
what I
building.
mean?
Shot salute, boy.
Definitely see you in the building, man. Yeah, man. Let's share this, man. We giving it up to our vets right now, man. We giving it up to the I'm not gonna say forgotten, man, because they're remembered. And they remembered on days like this, and they said, for any of our vets, man, it could be our mama. My mama was a vet. God rest her soul. Patricia Robbs, I love you, Queen. You dig? May you rest in heaven. You dig? May you be rested in the power that given me through my DNA. You dig, by
Talk.
the grace and by the grace of Allah. You dig. Yeah, but we also gonna go. We got lighter notes as well, man. We're gonna get into the P Diddy thing. We're gonna, we gonna share our, our theories and our analogies. We're gonna get
That's
into,
right.
the Remy Ma and the Papoose situation. But right now, man, you just, I just want y'all, my followers, man, the people that's behind me, the people that's rooting for good content, the people that inspires me to bring good content, man. You dig? I just want y'all to know that, man, that this we got a plethora, man. You ain't dealing with no dim-witted brothers, you dig what I'm saying? And anybody that I'm trying or striving to bring on this platform, man, or bring into my circumference, man, is somebody that again, man, can compliment me, that I can compliment them, that we
Talk.
can, continue to see ourselves grow and prosper and add on to life, you know what I'm saying, of our black and brown communities. And it's not to say that, I'm not racist in no form or fashion.
That's a
I'm just
fact.
pro us, man, just like any other culture should be pro them. But I'm not going to limit myself to understanding and identifying the good ones or the great ones of other cultures, of other ethnicities, of other nationalities, and trying to intertwine with them and collaborate with them in order to make myself better and greater in the new version of myself here and now. You dig? So yeah, man, this is where it's at, man. Salute to our fallen soldiers, man. You dig what I'm saying? Word.
Rest in peace to the great M, man. Marcellus James, man. Every
Ah,
Memorial Day, I
man.
think about him, man.
Okay,
Every day
was
I'm gonna say
listening.
shout out to Eminem, man, and rest in peace to Darnell DeBerry, man, from Smurf Village, man.
There you go. There you go. Rest in peace, man. Word, man. Yeah, we've always been misunderstood, man. We've always been titled or categorized as savages and so forth and so on. And partly it's because we wasn't understood, or partly because people didn't want to understand us. And
That's
namely, it
right.
was the people that, what I'm saying, didn't have the same pigmentation as us. You dig? So a lot of times I realized in history that a person will deflect names and titles on people who are actually unlike what they actually are.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So they'll call you a savage, knowing good and well that they're the savages. You dig what I'm saying? They'll call you ugly, knowing good and well they see something ugly about themselves in the mirror. So yeah, man, to the peoples, man, to my black and brown people, man, know and understand that God made us, man. God created us in the likeness and the image of Himself. You dig what I'm saying? And every other nationality, culture, and everything else, man, that's come from us is derived from us. So at the end of the day, man, one thing you can say with conviction, without any doubt, is that we beautiful, man. We
That's right.
beautiful, man. We beautiful minded. We beautiful spirited. You dig? Everything about us is beauty. You dig? And they know it, and that's why they try to destroy it in their own form and fashion, day in and day out. But as we see, man, you dig? What God created, man, no man can conquer. You heard? So you know what I mean? They can continue, man. Let us continue to strive and find a way, man, to make it better for us, homie. You dig? And then allow anybody that we believe compliments us, like I said, regardless of ethnicity, nationality, class, color, or creed. You know what I mean? Just make sure that they locked in the same way that you're locked in with them. Word.
But how you feel
Brian
about this
Bolt,
Puff thing, man? Tell me
salute,
about this
man.
Puff. How you feel about this Puff? You feel as though is he going to jail? Do you feel as though he's gonna slide out of this one?
Man, yo, boy, I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say what I can say with a conviction to it. It's looking real ugly for P. Diddy, dog. You dig? And that's just the whole fact. You dig what I'm saying? Yo, man, just hold on real quick, man. Definitely, man. Free the little bro, man. Boom, boom, man. My other half. You dig what I'm saying? He coming up, man. He looking real good for, me ultimately being on the other side of them gates, man. So yeah, salute to the little bro, man. You dig? Um, yeah, but back to where you was, King, is like, Puff created, and it's a sad thing, bro. It's a sad thing because we've seen this over and over again, man. Our black or brown people get to a place, get to a plateau or on a platform, man, monetarily or um fame wise. You know what I'm saying? As far as making a name for themselves, man. And just kind of like, a self-destruct, man, by just getting into situations that you dig just tears them away or allows others to tear them down. And I can't just say that they allow others to tear them down because they initiated the process of it. So they opened up the door for others to tear them down. And yeah, that's where it's at right now with, what I'm saying, the boy P, man. Like, Diddy, man. Did he do it? You know what I mean? Eh, I,
You want to
I
hear
want to
something
go with
funny?
ADG, man. It looked like he done, kid.
I think honestly,
Yeah.
when it comes to certain things, I don't think that he should get jail time. I think he should get some mental help. The reason
I'll
why I
go
say
with that.
this, the reason why I gotta say, I'm not saying that he's supposed to be free. I'm not supposed to be. No, I'm saying he's supposed to be somewhere secluded with some, like I said, some professionals pertaining to mental and physical health. Because you have to think about this. I watched the episode of a segment on the Harlem Dapper Dan. He was like, "Yo, Puff was raised and groomed like that from his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things that like he was exposed, just like what we was exposed to, we emulated and we admired and we was confused about.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Same thing with
facts.
Puff.
Facts. Facts.
Same thing with Puff. Now, if it
You,
come to that situation with Big, because that's when I personally just strayed away from him.
yeah,
Rest in peace to Big, because I personally knew him. And all that
Dr.
situation with
Mundo.
making songs right after your man is dead, I'm not really from that. I've never seen that energy nowhere. So it was always some type of skepticism behind that situation with Big. I'm not going to front. That's what pulled me away from him. And
Right.
then
Hey,
now
yo,
when Go ahead, speak peace.
No, go ahead, fam.
But now
Continue.
when Big is gone, it seemed like I did a show before, right after when Big mother passed away, called it the Curse of Biggie Smalls,
Right.
part 1 and 2. And it
Uh-huh.
seemed like if Puff is responsible for that Big situation, yeah, I want him brought to light for that. As far as him freaking off with some people, now I don't think, tell you the truth, them was adults. That situation with
Right.
Cassie, that
Right.
shit was horrific. That shit was foul. You dig what I'm
Right.
saying? If he was beating on chicks and all that, yeah, that shit is foul. But I'm not gonna be against nobody for their sexual preferences. Now, when it come to playing with them children,
Right.
when it come to playing
Absolutely.
with them kids, you dig what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get upset with him because he might have conned some nigga. They said he was getting all that's alleged, them allegations. All I'm
Right.
concerned about is them kids and Big. But anything else, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like he might be able to still get away from what they trying to give him, because I still don't understand how Cassie got to testify against him to this day, to this second.
Hey, yo, you said something, man, like the upbringing. And it's not a total excuse, but I understand. And it goes back to that word we used earlier with our vets, that PTSD, so to speak. And, and it's also another word, Stockholm syndrome. You begin to
Mm-hmm.
love the same, you know what I'm saying, kind of torture that you go through. But before I get into that, let's hear what Nikki Baby said, man. Diddy is getting his karma. He did a lot of wrong to others on purpose. Karma
That's a
spins the
fact.
block and collect debts with interest. 100. He
That's a
didn't
fact.
want to move right. You did. Um, and yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But I also have to tie in what Dice just said about the psychological building of him, by parents, and if he was being, taught this from the youngest of ages, man, and I know this to be true in the 70s, man. When you was growing up with your grandmother and your mom's hanging out in them number holes, and
That's
you
right.
and you learning the ways of switchblade Tony, and you know what I'm saying, rum drinking Tyrone, and so forth and so on. That instills in people, especially when you're growing from a young age. Like, I was in certain spots at a very young age. You dig what I'm saying? Because there was no babysitters at those times. So if Puff was learning, the abusive natures of what his pops may have been displaying on his mom's, or just being, or just street being displayed in some of the places that he may have been in, it's understandable. It doesn't make it a foolproof excuse for, as you grow, that you should be able to know better, or learn better, or realize that everything that you may have been taught, just like the Bible, doesn't fit.
That's right.
Certain things that I was taught with, I realized as I grew, it doesn't fit. That's cap.
Makes no
That
sense.
it makes no sense. So, I believe that at a certain age, man, he should have came of that understanding. And I think he did. I believe he did. What I believe uh uh diminished his capacity to go right as opposed to left was the money that he started getting. And now that kind of puts them in a bracket that I can get away with anything. That
That's
type
right.
of mentality that, I could buy my way out. And that has happened with a number of individuals, man. I've ran into good men, solid men, who were warped from the beginning and started to deviate from the warped way of living, from shooting people and stabbing and just harming people maliciously and callously, to saying, yo, bro, that shit started fucking with me at a point. So I started to stray away from it. But then I started getting to the bread, and certain situations happened where I think people were playing me, and it just resurfaced. And when it resurfaced 1,000 times worse. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And it created situation, and created situations that a lot of them are no longer here. A lot of them a few of them are sitting still on death row,
Mm-hmm.
and a few of them have forever. You dig? Unless something happened in the justice, in the court system, that will turn that around. You know. So yeah, man. I believe like ABG said. I believe that Puff did a bunch of clown shit. But one thing I will say is Puff was never no pushover. Like Puff, people had this perception or
That's right.
this thought that, Puff was some kind of sucker, just, you know what I'm saying? Nah, that ain't the case. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I've only been in the midst of the boy, you know what I'm saying, a couple times, but I know people, you know what I'm saying, that rock with him, you dig? And or I was rocking with Biggs while Biggs was still here. May he rest in peace.
Rest
You
up.
dig what I'm saying? Where, I know from some solid people miles that, nah, Puff played an ugly game with some of the ugliest ones, you know what I mean? So yeah, it is what it is, bro.
Rest in peace to Kim Porter. See, that's the part. See, this is the part where it's gonna get gruesome with this case. It seemed like they're pulling so many people in. Like Albie Shaw got up on that stand the other day and said, "Yo, check this out. I got a letter from Kim Porter stipulating if something was to happen to her, Puff Daddy's responsible." Crushed everything.
Mm,
Kid Cudi got up there and said, "Yeah, he was upset with me. He took a Molotov cocktail and threw it to my car because he found out that I was dealing with Cassie." They throwing crazy blows at him, man.
right, right.
Crazy
N-
blows. He cannot really. It's like they
Can't
have
duck.
too many people that was there. Now that it
I
seems like
know.
now that Puff is behind bars. Unfortunately, I gotta say it like this. I guess, they feel as though that now that he's caught, like he's with no bond. It's like a lot of people said they feel free now that they got to make sure that he stay there, and that's really what they trying to do, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
absolutely. Yo, bro, you gotta understand, man. You gotta understand, bro. Like we once you one of the greatest things that I learned as well, bro, man, is like that fear game is something special in two ways. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
double-edged sword, kid.
Talk.
Yo, bro, while I was out here and I was doing what I was doing, man, and like I say, man, salute to the people that, you know what I'm saying, the foul side of FB, you know what I'm saying, once upon a time got you heard, we was playing a game, you and I both, you dig, so it doesn't make because I ain't just do anything that, you know what I'm saying, innocent people in the sense of
Talk.
it just being, you dig, so even the individuals that was attached to other individuals that I wanted to get at, you dig, and I don't glorify this, you weren't innocent. So it was fair game. But what I do know is this, man, you dig, like we play this game, thinking that it's a game, some of us. While others we didn't think it was a game. We played it for real and we played it for keeps. And and in my sense, I say, man, thanks to the man upstairs, you dig what I'm saying? His plan for me was, greater than the plan that I had for myself at the
Mm.
time. You know. But yeah, man. We got to understand that you dig again, karma is a mob, and I had to deal with, that justice system and that double-edged sword of individuals. That same people I feared was the same people, you know what I'm saying, who wrote statements, the same people in cases that got on a stand on a nigga, the
Mm.
same people, you dig what I'm saying, when they feel they feel they're safest is when individuals like myself and other individuals that carry that or walk that lifestyle that I once upon a time walked was out of the way and behind bars. And not just out the way and behind bars, they made sure they didn't just pop up right out the gate. They made sure that the attorney, the U.S. attorneys or the state's attorney had enough to hold us for a minute before they said, even whispered, yeah, I'll come to court. Yeah, I'll write a statement. You
Mm.
dig what I'm saying? Because they didn't want that slip up or they didn't want that, technicality to show its head too early. And, you know, boy was back out on the street and you had created a path that said, yeah, nigga, I came and yeah, I jumped. Nah, not back then, because back then it was different from now. You dig what I'm saying? We didn't we really didn't play that cheese eating game. You dig back then.
Talk.
And you know what I'm saying? And more, and it wasn't just me or individuals like me that play. It was a plethora of individuals. Like your girl didn't even want to be with you if you was a rat back then. You
Talk.
dig? She like, nigga, what? Nah, we don't do it. So it was a different era. You dig? So you got ostracized and persecuted from all, like, bro, like, back then, Duke, you know what I'm saying? Like real talk, man, even the ones that wanted to do it wouldn't do it because they knew they couldn't even they had to go find an island. They became Gilligan. You dig? They had to find an island to, you know what I'm saying, to be on by themselves. So yeah, bro. Um, I just hope, bro. I mean, and I hope because like I say, man, me personally, man, I don't want to see nobody in those walls unless you some kind of deviant, like you some kind of real sexual predator, a
Oh,
mass murderer, and so forth and so on. As you said, yeah, man, if boy is going through some kind of cycle or was going through some psychological, situations from youth. You know what I'm saying? That he kind of grew into the man that he was, and money only brought the demon out of him more. Yeah, maybe some psychological help, man. But like Nikki say, I do believe he it deserves to be in a confined space,
that's a fact.
where he can actually, get, the help and really address the issues that he has as, what I'm saying, a black man. You dig what I'm saying? But just to lose him in some hostile environments such as prison and have the mark of a millionaire or billionaire, whatever the case may be, on his back. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I don't believe that's worth. And I will say, if he did some of the devious shit that is being said, and I said, like I said, being said allegedly, then
Allegedly.
that takes another turn, because what I'm saying, I don't believe the Kim Porters or anybody that they are alleging he has done some kind of malicious and callous act to deserve this. So that's something that, what I'm saying, if it's meant, the Most High is gonna allow that to come to light, and whatever he has in store for him, what I'm saying, one thing for certain, two things for sure, he gonna receive. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no evading that. You dig? So yeah, rest in peace, man. The Kim Porters and anybody else who may have suffered in a situation, or in any situation. However, you know what I'm saying. Let the truth be the truth, and man, and let
Heavy
let all
D,
the
Andre Harrell. That's a fact.
all of them, man. You know what I mean? Like rest in power, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? God bless your souls. You know what I mean? But allow Allah to have His way now. You know what I'm saying? And what's meant to be is gonna be.
How you feel about this Papoose and this Remy Ma shit? Because I still think they really deep down inside care about each other.
That's what's the question, man. I don't think it's not a person that, well, even though a lot of us, will try to say that we don't, deep down, you know what I'm saying, when you were the person for that long, or whatever the case may be, man, there had to be a chemistry, you know, um, there had to be a chemistry, there had to be a genuine love, you know what I mean? With me personally, man, with me, I will say that, to me, Pat kind of lost a few points with me, only because I had him winning. Because his natural nature is quiet, man. Pat was action. Pat was a verb, you know what I mean? Pat was a verb. So, Pat was actually, he was quiet, and so I feel like now, with him being, boisterous and out, like Dookie was winning. If whatever went through with it, I've seen that couple as black love, you know what I mean? Real
That's
talk.
right.
You know what I mean? I seen it, and that's where I stopped it at, because that was something that, an individual like myself didn't mind, of following. You dig what I'm saying? Or trying to encapsulate within myself and trying to bring it to my own circumference. You know what I'm saying? So, that to emulate, you know what I mean, you want to emulate that. You say to yourself, yeah, that's what I would want. You dig what I'm saying? The highs and the lows, regardless of what. So yeah, while in prison, it was like, you know what I'm saying, black love was the motto. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, is one of the reasons that, you know what I'm saying, I now refer to my sisters as queens, and and my homies and comrades as kings. You dig what I'm saying? Like, just to try to, you know put a respectful title on the individuals that I come from. You know what I'm saying? And that's, the black and browns. That's,
That's
just to
peace.
say that, I love y'all, man. You dig what I'm saying? I love myself. So, you know what I'm saying? If I know and understand from the great people that I have spoken to through books, you know what I'm saying? Because I speak, when I read books, I'm speaking to that person. They speaking to me. So, you know what I mean? From those individuals, I learned that, you know what I'm saying, I am a valued person by the power of Allah. You dig? I am somebody. You dig? I am
Oh,
the Malcolm X's, I am the Martin Luther's, I am the Mahatmas, I am the WB's, the Booker T. Washington, the
oh,
you know what I'm saying, the Mary Bethunes, the Sojourner Truths, the Harriet Tubmans, the Madam C. I am. You dig? So knowing and understanding that is like, yeah, love self and love what you come from, love what you derive from, and don't get it twisted. There's no love without hate. So yeah, there are
Mm,
individuals. At one point in time, I hated myself. You
talk.
dig? Like it's a process. You heard? And there's a lot of brothers and sisters that's out there that's hating themselves because of the situations that they may be finding themselves in right now. But I'm here to tell you, man, take a moment. Take a moment, take 1 second, look in that mirror, and regardless of what you think you see that's ugly, know and understand that God don't make no mistakes. So if you here for a reason, and there's something that you supposed to be doing, even if it's for one person or even if it's just for yourself, that you don't know you're doing for somebody else, they see you, sister. They see you, bro. And they're looking and they're paying attention and what they may take from you to emulate, or even in the first beginning imitate, because even that, it's a process. A person may imitate first, like a little kid. They don't actually know that they emulating you until they get older and understand it. Okay, I almost got this down to a sign. So they
That's
start
right.
with imitating what they see their mother and their father doing. They see their mother wearing them high heels. Guess what you see your little girl start doing? She go get those high heels, and you see her putting them high heels on, trying to walk in them. You dig? You see the son might see your pops combing his hair a certain way. You see your little son come in that bathroom one day and start using that brush, or he might just have
That's
a
right.
stick and he doing the same thing that daddy doing. You dig? So just know and understand, man, that in one way or another, man, we beautiful inside and out, man. We just gotta find that beauty. We gotta hone into it, and we got to start pushing it. You dig? We got to start pushing it. Word.
I do think the internet is the reason, though, that their situation is going the way it is now. Like I said, back in the days, I just talked about this on my show. The internet we had was our closest friends or people in the neighborhood, and it was some that was against us, and it was some that was for us that would bring it back together. It was some that would find us individually and drop jewels on us about maybe if we was right or wrong and how to fix the situation that we might have been going through, as opposed to this internet where any and everybody can just get in the chat and go, ooh, and ah, and it intensifies somebody, especially if they're paying attention to what people were saying.
Hey, yo, I'm looking at some of the things, and DMV shots, man. He said been keeping low, but the narcissist brung him out. Gotta let him get his off.
Mm.
Um, Yo, bro,
Angie, baby, I see you.
salutes, Angie, salutes, man. Thanks for pulling up, sis. Word, Queen. Yo, man. Once again, salutes to the chat, man. Share this, man. Bring them all along with you, man. Let's build this up, man. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Oh,
trying to
and my
give you
man,
what
he
you
need
want,
a
what you
hundred. He need
need.
100 subscribers,
You
y'all.
heard?
That's it,
Yeah,
100.
we doing it. You dig? We
100
doing it,
subscribers,
man.
man. Get this out and get them likes up, man. Share this live.
Yo, DMV, man. Yo, listen, bro. Like, for a lot of us, and sometimes, man, we have to measure. Those of us that understand this game of chess of life that we play, we have to measure. You know what I'm saying? Our responses. And I always felt that Pap was a silent assassin in the way that he moved, man. And I just feel my mindset is he was winning, bro. Whatever happened between us, like Kelly Rowland say, man. What the last thing we should be doing, man, as black and brown people is giving anybody, man, of other ethnicities, nationalities, or cultures, man, something to, continue to build arsenals to shoot us down or to incite amongst us. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? The arsenal too for us to shoot one another down. So Kelly Rowland say airing that dirty laundry. You dig? Like Pap got with Clarissa, man. He was winning. Quietly. Regardless whether I don't know what may be true and what may not be true. You dig? I know that when women can become emotional, they can be just what I'm saying, real messy. Saying and don't get it twisted, because a lot of dudes is worse than women when it comes to it. Like I'm seeing a lot
That's
of
a fact.
sissified shit right now in society when it comes to so-called gangsters. You dig? But was winning, man. He was quiet. He gained the likes of Clarissa. You dig? It seemed like at the point they're happy. Do I believe that him and Shorty's still in love or have some kind of feeling? That's what I believe. You know what I'm saying? The back and forth is about now. But you know, at the end of the day, man, you know what I'm saying, to push if he happy and sisters complimenting him, he should have just stayed quiet and continue to let his actions of black love, you dig, run into run into the relationship that he's now in. Because
That's
one
right.
thing for certain, two things for sure, the truth would have revealed itself in that way, because we would have seen the same consistent nature that we've seen with him and Remy. You dig? So this is what gives me a little like, what are you trying to prove? You don't have nothing to prove if what you say, this truth don't need nothing to stand on. So if this was what it was, and you was the individual, the epitome or the essence of black love, in which I always seen you representing. And as I say it 110,000%. Yo, any black man, you know what I mean? And it's not to say that he's the only one. There's a lot of black brothers that we don't hear of that has held their women down completely, whether they're in a prison cell or whether they're on a hospital bed or going through some
That's right.
kind of wicked disease as cancer or anything else. So
Or
for
some
you
mental
brothers,
anguish, because we,
or
we we keep
mental
forgetting
anguish,
about that. That mental depression is really fucking us up as black people. That's a fact.
that's absolutely, you know, and yeah, Nick, I understand. He was silent for a long time, but again, the truth needs nothing to stand on. Yes, it may have been things to poke the bear. I'm not gonna sit here and act like, me being poked too many times. I tell a person nowadays, yo, homie, the vampire resting. You dig? Please, you know what I'm saying? Don't wake them up. You dig? Because once my canine teeth come out, you dig, it goes to a dark place, and they don't go back in my gums until the taste is satiated. You dig? So
Talk.
I understand what you're saying, but that's another reason that I stay away from goofies. That's the way that I'm sucker. That's the reason that I'm sucker ducking and dummy dodging. Because of I'm trying to assist them and not waking up the vampire. You know what I mean? So I know me. So when you know yourself, you know what I'm saying, and you love yourself, you know how to protect yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what I think a lot of us need to start doing, especially some of my younger brothers, man, to catch on early, man. Protect yourself, man. You dig? Because yo, them cells, man, them cells is crazy, bro. Them cells is crazy. And that graveyard is much, much crazier. You
Mm,
dig? And we all got to get there someday. Why not make it later than sooner? You know what I mean? Why not enjoy life, man? Why not enjoy this life that Allah has given us, man, and bestowed upon us, and see what greatness we can bring, man? What greatness we can bring to a country who never really, respected or appreciated our greatness. Why not, use that and utilize that to show them that this is what y'all been missing. Y'all been missing equating us to that equal standard that y'all place yourself on. And this is what we could have been did. We could have been ahead of all other countries. Like other countries wouldn't even have a javelin that can touch the United States if you would only equate the people who built this country not with you, but for you. You
that's right.
dig?
And gave you the
Yeah,
whole blueprint to
and
build
and
it.
and fact the mundo, you dig? Like when you give that credit, when you give that recognition, when you get, like Oprah Winfrey said to old boy, nothing good's gonna come by you until you do good by us. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So yeah, you know what I mean? She put them pros fingers on him and said, hey, nothing good gonna come to you, man, until you know what I'm saying, you do good by me. And that's
that's a
how I
fact.
feel, about the
That's a
country, man.
fact.
Ain't nothing good to America. Like America's just, what I mean, it looks like in a state of decline, man. And that's because of all the foolery, man, that you've done to individuals who didn't deserve it. You dig? To the black and the brown people, man, who didn't deserve what you gave them and what you did to them and what you continue to do to them, and not recognize and give them what they just, they justly deserve. You know what I mean? Or
You got to give them something way before we get out of here too. I'm looking into this. I was listening to these brothers talk about the social security numbers.
uh-huh.
And he was talking about the birth certificates. And I had heard
Mm-hmm.
before about the documentation and how these are supposed to be bond. Like if birth certificate is supposed to be a bond, your social security is supposed to be connected to a bank. And this
Right.
is actually coming to be true. Like if you put a 0 in front of your social security number, it makes 10 numbers, which is a routing number. And if you type it in off the back of your social security card, Like if you look at the number, like the symbol, like whether it's a R, it'll be Richmond, or H for Hilton. It's all big bank corporations that supposedly funded money through our names on Social Security. So I'm doing some research on that,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. And while in prison, that's why a lot of brothers that I ran into, I'm not really, really in depth, but you know what I'm saying, like the Moors, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and individuals, obtaining or seeking their own sovereignty, their independence from, the United States in order to recoup some of the collateral that has gone through our, social security numbers. Like, it's yo, bro, I was just scratching the surface of it prior to coming home, but I had so much other stuff on my plate that, I just was able to get the bare rudiments of, what it was for a person to, what I mean, separate themselves from, the United States and gain their own independence as a sovereign individual.
That's
And
right.
the
My Indian brothers
this
be
thing.
talking about that down here. That's right.
Right, right, right. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, so yeah, there's truth to it. How many, I don't know the statistics of how many people have actually done it. I have, ran across a few that have actually done it. It is a process and it's a drawn out process, if I remember correctly, that you meet a lot of resistance, or you will meet a lot of resistance. Maybe things have changed a little bit better because, they say as it becomes autonomous and more people do it, it becomes maybe a little bit easier, though I don't believe it's, well, I'm not going to even say it's maybe not that easy now, because again, that Stockholm syndrome, when people have been battered for so long and conditioned to absorb and endure that battering, in a weird psychological kind of way, they begin to love that battering. It's like a woman who's been battered by a man for so long that in order, for any, even if she leaves that man and she gets into another relationship, that Stockholm syndrome has set in. And the same with men in this wicked situation. I'm just using women that they don't believe that a man loves them unless the man is treating them like shit, or
Mm,
putting his hands on them, or so forth and so on. You
that's right.
dig? And that's, it's a sad thing that we have, dropped to that, degree. But again, that's in our teaching. We came up, seeing, without question, our fathers, our uncles putting their hands on our mothers and our aunts and so forth and so on. And, at a point of our life, we may have thought it was cool because, that's what we seen, and there was no real ramifications behind it
That's
back in
right.
those days. However, as we grow, those of us who are blessed, who have been blessed with the spirit of the Most High, have gained the knowledge and the understanding of knowing that that was dead ass wrong,
Dead
something that
ass
we
wrong. That's
shouldn't
right.
been doing, something we should have never been doing, and something that we added to the decimation of our women in certain aspects of life, whether it was their self-esteem, whether it was, the
Their
quality of a woman,
insecurities,
their insecurities,
fears.
and so,
It's facts.
yeah, bro. So,
Because of
yeah,
us.
man. Yeah. So on behalf of the brothers, man, you dig, on behalf of the brothers who, especially the ones who didn't know any better, man, to the sisters, to the queens, my mother alike, you dig, my aunts, my uncles, women,
That's right.
period, man.
Rest in
I
peace to Mark.
salute
That's
y'all,
right.
man, and I apologize for those of us, man, who have, in so many ways, what I mean, taken from y'all. You dig? And it's just what it is, King. You dig? It's just what it is, bro. Word,
That's a cold blooded
word.
fact, man. That's a great bill, man. For
Yeah,
real,
man.
man.
Yeah, this is vertical, man. This is vertical, man. Word, you know what I mean? Nigga baby say Remy is all about numbers, man. Pat does care. She tried to assassinate his character because she knows he is a good person and she messed up bad. He is a
Damn.
catch. Yeah, without a question, sis. But that's why I said he could have just stayed quiet because like for you to say this, and I know this, and others know this. You dig? It's like, yo, continue your push, homie. Your push is solidified by the actions that you carried out while you were with her. So again, you know what I'm saying? If that would have just, transitioned into the relationship that you're now with, people would have been like, oh nah, Yeah, that boy was, the boy was the truth. It may have took the first year, whatever the case may be. But one thing, consistency, man, consistency is hard to beat, man. When a
Mm,
person is dedicated and consistent with what they're doing, man, that's determination. And determination is something that it's hard to beat, man. You dig? You got to be just as determined, or even more so. You dig? And sooner or later, man, and sooner or later, the person that doesn't have that stamina, or doesn't have that, what I'm saying, that impetus, they gonna fall to the wayside. So that's why I said, man, the bro should have just kept, pushing how he was pushing, man, because that's what we respected. We respected the fact of him pushing, and not only pushing, but that boy wore that, man, on every hat. I
yeah.
mean, every time you seen that boy, he was promoting that. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Mm,
Damn. He did say that
yeah.
the whole black love thing was because of him and his knowledge of self. He said that was his whole thing before her. He said it's just that when he got with her, he wanted her to understand how much he cared for her. He said he wrote a bunch of 90% of her rhymes. He claims he's responsible for writing. He said he never wanted a dime. He just wanted her to win. And to see it
Right,
go down like that, like I said, I understand people go through things because shit happens. You dig what I'm saying?
right,
I
right,
just feel so bad that it's so easy now because he has the Instagram, she has the Instagram,
right,
and you could just go live and say, I'm mad and
right. Yeah, but again, man. But that's the purpose of vertical cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the end, man. And I hear a lot of people, man. Like, the homie, a lot going on, man. Says it, man. What's my son? Damn, the homie, man. Mikey B, man. You know what I'm
shout out to
saying?
Mikey
Like,
B.
yo, shout out to the boy, man. Shout out to Ja Ace, man. Shout out to
Facts.
the comrades, man. That's pushing the same kind of push, man. Like, to build up, man. Like, yo, I did enough of tearing down, man. I did that for a long time, man. Even tearing myself down. You know what
Mm,
I mean? And that's and when you know the way I know it, you dig, like, it's not a can't even find the right word for it. It's not a game, for lack of better words. It's like, I know it, I know the essence, I know the epitome of it, I know the grit and the grime of it. You dig what I'm saying? So, now, man, it's like, yo, boy, we gotta do anything and everything, man, that we can, man, to, ensure that, we can compliment one another, man. You know what I mean? Like, we can truly compliment one another the way that it was once upon a time, man. I
that's
remember
right.
a time, man, where there wasn't a such thing when a person wasn't helped by, what I mean, three or four, five people in the community, man.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and
That's
and
right.
not to get off the situation real quick, yeah, I understand that, like, when even, yeah, they said, Remy brought his kids into it, or whatever the case may be. You know, I'm gonna just say this from me, bro, and for the Nikki and the challenges and the ones that, that's absolutely true, man. So that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But again, like, I realize, man, that once a person can charge your emotions, then they control you. And trust me, people controlled me for a minute in
Mm,
life. You dig? So again, man, the poise that the boy Pap had, man, you know, to know in and of himself that, yo, nigga, like, yo, shorty, I take care of mine. You know it, I know it. So if my spirit knows it, and my family knows
I
it, and
should
the
be at
people in
peace.
that immediate circumference know that Pat was a provider, that Pat was a stand-up individual that represented the epitome or the essence of that which he wore on his hat or in his heart of black love. Was he flawed? Could he have been flawed? Was it something that he just didn't have all the way right? Who ain't? Who isn't?
That's
Ain't
right.
no relationship perfect. So you dig, for you females and for you male individuals that always want to look for the slightest thing and say, yo, I'm out the door, or you ain't trying to hold it down no more, or the grass could be greener on the other side, you might get a rude awakening.
That's right.
You might get a rude awakening trying to leave the one that you may be with to go try to surface the waves of another that you don't even know and that you got to build with. Not to say that that's the case, you dig? If that's something strongly that you believe you need to do because there is truly no type of hope, then so be it. I don't want to hold you back from your vision or your
Dog,
dream or what you think can
that's a
complement or
fact.
enhance your quality of life. But sometimes we be so easily ready to give up because again, that's the Willie Lynch syndrome that has been inculcated in us. Give up. Later
That's
for the
right.
fight. We ain't fighting for nothing. So we guess what? We'll fall for anything. Nah, we don't come from that cloth.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We don't come from that cloth. So at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna give y'all just what I know that, you know what I'm saying, my ancestors, our ancestors, you dig, stood by, you know what I'm saying, our ancestral grandfathers and great grandfathers and black men, they stood. They
That's right.
stood. They stood and yeah, they endured. And I'm not telling you know, man, anybody to take blatant disrespect, blatant disregard, blatant abuse physically, emotionally, or psychologically. What I'm saying is, yo, stop being pussies. We ain't that. We strong.
That's right.
We strong. We come from God. So yeah, you dig what I'm saying? There's things that we can work on as a team. There's things that we can do together. There's things that we can ensure that guess what? You ain't gotta respect us because we respect us.
That's right.
So we don't look for validation in another pigmentation when we got it right here in the
Within us.
melatonin skin that we got. You dig? And when they see that, they'll see that that's an army that they can't just, overthrow. You dig? We fortified, man. We fortified. So when we start knowing and understanding that and truly believing in that, man, you dig? And even that, that's not an easy thing. You dig? So yeah, man. With that being said, man, we here, man. Like I said, man. I believe Pat, man. I believe in the boy. I believe in the fact that he's definitely he's definitely a brother, man. He's definitely a brother that tried to push, push the envelope, man, for us to respect one another, for us to understand better, us as a people, for us to incorporate Black love inside of ourselves and inside of our family structure. And then, siphon it off to, the external parts of family and our other Black brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, in our hoods and in our community, So yeah, like Nikki say, it's strength in numbers, man. We don't have to hate each other, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's definitely right. And and it starts little. So yeah, man, let's start. We starting it here. You
That's
dig?
right.
We starting it right here on YouTube. You dig? Like this is love. This is black love. You know what I'm saying? This is black, brown, white love. Like I said, man, you dig? Anybody that compliments me, compliment the push, the drive, the structure of individuals that's on this platforms, man. It's salutes, man. Real talk. It's salutes, man. And I love y'all, man. Real talk. You dig? And I found this love in a weird way behind, them prison doors. You dig what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of people that I was hating. You dig? Hating
Mm,
because I knew that, you know what I'm saying, I had created that hate. Don't get it twisted. Let me hold myself accountable. I had created the hate amongst individuals by the lifestyle in which I lived once upon a time, and even in prison up to a certain point. You dig? And it was hard to stray away from that and not take into consideration that yo, you created this. So you can't be mad that there's still people that's trying to put that knife on you, or there's still people that want to do you some kind of harm because you once upon a time brought that harm or was just as, you know what I'm
dog.
saying, inclined to do it. You dig? I just had to send the prayers up and say, yo, I'm really done with it. So even though I had the power to call shots that would have created a whole lot of BS, not for just the others that may have disliked me or hated me, but it would have been a Pyrrhic victory, as y'all heard me say before, because I would have lost a lot of my good men on my side that I respected that was trying to do the same thing that I was doing, and that was finally get home to our families. You dig what I'm saying? So I had to take them into consideration a lot of times when they like, yo, bro, man, let us go, and I'm like, nah, playboy, they still black, they still blood, they still, you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna cast the first stone. But if this happened or that happened, and I feel or we feel threat, then we're gonna do what we need to do because they cast the first stone. And no, by the grace and his glory, man, you know what I mean? He sustained me, he sustained mine, and we made it up out, we making it up out of there. You know what I mean? I've made it out of
Right.
there, and a few others have made it out of there. So, yo, man, love is power, man. You know what I'm saying? And brotherly love is power. You dig what I'm saying? How we use it. is what makes it, that much more powerful.
That's right.
Or bro.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I seen the boy Chip pop back on, he popped back off. But yeah, Dice, man, yo, what's your feelings, man? Like,
I
yo,
know one thing. It's like I said, I appreciate you for hitting me up about this bill because, like I said, I was gonna do a Memorial Day thing and just
yeah,
really give thanks to some of the people like we lost from the hood and some of the people that stay on my heart. Some of the people, like you said, that I've took certain parts of their book and put it
right.
in my encyclopedia, as you understand. You dig what I'm saying? Somebody said, shout out to Ringy, rest in peace to Ringy and his brother Raheem, man. Like,
Facts.
damn, like certain good people, man. They
Yeah,
still around though. Like I said, I think
right.
about Trev. I think about Johnny
Yeah.
Greenlee. You dig what I'm saying?
Johnny
Like,
Green, Big Trev, man, the studs,
oh
man, you know what I
man, shout
mean?
out
The
to
stay
Studs, man.
highs,
Like,
man, like
I
the
remember when
Dorseys
Barry
from
first came
Prospect,
home. Yeah, I remember when Barry first
yeah,
came to Schenectady, how they
yeah,
like when
man,
we like the West Indian culture, how they accepted us and how they molded us. And one thing I will say about the West Indian culture, if they found out that you wasn't going to school, them niggas will beat you.
yeah,
Them niggas
facts.
will really tell you, like, they education, like they didn't care. They understood that we was infatuated with the jury, with the respect, with the how the police would just like move with caution around black men. We didn't care. You dig what I'm saying? That they was from Jamaica or Trinidad. It was like they came with a resilience from coming from third world countries. That was really what showed us some of the tactical tactics that we kind of grabbed up and put under our wings, man. So shout out to some of the fallen ones, man. You dig what I'm saying?
Man,
Like,
yo, man, it's a
damn,
lot
man.
of them, man. A lot of them, man. A lot of them, man. To the stay eyes, man. To my son, man. Gold Teeth Bone, man. Salute you, General Rest in Power, to the Briefhead Jacks, man. To the people that molded me, man. To the people that mentored me, man. To the Trinities, man, from Troy Avenue, man. The Imps, man. The
Mm,
CLRs, man. You know what I mean? The
mm.
great gods. Like, you know what I mean? So many, man. Like, bro, I can go east to west, north to south in Brooklyn, man. And always, of individuals, man, that molded me from the pink houses all the way to the fort, you know what I mean? Wyckoff, Coney Island, man. Like, when I really, I really was in them streets and I really was amongst individuals, man, that, played for keeps. And, I took a lot of good things as well as bad things, man. But at the end, man, Allah rules all things, and he had and seen and knew and dictated and orchestrated his purpose for the kid. So here I am with y'all, man. And it's a beautiful thing to be here after 16 years, man, to be able to,
Right.
be doing what I'm doing and enjoying it, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro. Like again, man, salutes to all the fallen soldiers, man. All the fallen soldiers, because this was a war right here in America.
That's
So to
right.
all the fallen soldiers, man, you dig what I'm saying? From the armed forces to the street forces, you dig? May y'all live eternally, man. You know what I mean? And rest, man, and rest in peace, man. You know what I'm saying? And I guess until I reach there when the Father calls me, you dig what I'm saying? Sooner or later, we'll see each other again. We'll run across one another, man. But until then, man, I keep y'all in spirits. You dig? And that's what it is, man. To everybody that came, and joined in on this chat, man. The Angie babies, the Nikki baby, ABG, DMV shots. You dig, Brian Boo, man. All y'all, Tanya, man. All you locked in, man. Everybody that viewing it on, just viewing it, man. Like, yo, listen, man. I salute y'all, man. Thank y'all for being a part of me. Thank y'all for enhancing my quality of life. Thank y'all for, what I'm saying, adding to the channel, bringing the subscribers, you know what I'm saying, sharing it, and so forth and so on, man. Just thank you, man, humbly and respectfully, man.
He couldn't have said it no better, man. I'm honored to be up here with the guard. Like I said, it was times they counted my guy out. So to actually see my guy home, like I said, everything happens for a reason, man. I love you all, man. I appreciate y'all for pulling up and showing some love. Make sure y'all share this live out. Vertical Talk. Y'all already know how we doing it. Hashtag Team Guardian. Shout out to Chip Low. Shout out to
Shit,
everybody that
shit.
pulled up in the building, man, for real.
Word, man.
Salute,
Yeah,
salute, salute.
Oh, he
Hey,
popped
y'all
up. He
keep winning,
popped up.
man.
He's here.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've just been in the back. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing, man. It's an awesome thing when you sit down and you get any group of individuals together that can build on something positive, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Byron Boo, I see you, fam.
Hey, yo,
Definitely all the time.
Before I pull out, man, hey yo, Tanya, you said something, man. She said deep, Frankie Bull. Food for thought. Knowledge is power. Let me just change that a little bit, sis. Knowledge, knowledge isn't the power. It's how you apply the knowledge that you have that makes it powerful.
Mm.
You dig? So a lot of people have knowledge, but they're not applying it. They're not utilizing it in a way that makes it powerful. So, just something to think on, Queen. Like, you know what I mean? No one understand. A lot of people have knowledge and they're just retaining it for themselves. They're not sharing it. They're not trying to give it. You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Well, how we apply that knowledge is what makes it, powerful. So, yeah, let's continue. Those of us that do have knowledge, that have wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Let's continue to push that, man, in the directions of our younger generation. And, you know what I'm saying? Anybody that's willing to listen, let them listen, man. We got 2 ears and 2 eyes and 1 mouth.
That's
So that
right.
means, man, be quiet a lot of times, man, and just listen and pay attention, and you'll learn a whole lot more, man. Yo, man, once again, man, thank y'all for thanking me, man. Thank y'all for pulling up, man. That's the end of this one, man. But I'll soon be back at y'all, man. Love y'all as a people, man. One.
Love.